Hey guys, Jason here with the final Duel Masters Plays set reaction video. And what a way to end things with Legend of Plays 2025. This is a video that I have been looking forward to making because I enjoy the Legend of Plays sets in general, and I also think that I will be in a better position to comment on these cards in comparison to the previous sets that I've been trying to react to. I think I'll recognize some cards here. I think I'll see some cool retrains of old cards, at least I'm hoping. And yeah, this is just going to be good vibes all around, I feel like. Now, before we get into the actual set, let's take a look at some of the details. There's this whole bit here about assembly and disassembly. That's cool, but what I want to take a look at is at the avatars. So we've got a new avatar for QED, obviously a very popular character in Duel Masters Plays. Go check out my Year 4 survey reaction video to find out more. And then there is a new avatar for the wedding. So this one looks like a redesign of the existing avatar. And for all the waifu lovers out there, this one is clearly for you. Now jumping into the set, let's take a look. So speaking of wedding, I assume if you pull this card or a secret art version of this card, you're going to get the wedding avatar. Wedding Innocence Zenith of Deceit. So very interesting seeing Wedding and Deceit in the same name. So it's a 13 mana, 13k colorless creature. So we've got Triple Breaker, and it costs 2 less to summon for each of your opponent's elements, civilizations in the battle zone. So right off the bat, I feel like this is going to be stronger than the previous Wedding because you've got that built-in sympathy style effect, and that just makes this guy a lot easier to summon, especially without Soul Swap in the format. We've also got another effect. When you summon this creature, shieldify all of your opponent's non-colorless creatures. Of course, it's got shieldify, and then shieldify a card in your opponent's hand at random for each of your own colorless creatures. So this is obviously a very strong effect. It's giving me Balam vibes. You know how like Dor Balam would nuke the field and the mana zone for non-darkness creatures? It's kind of like that, but for colorless. So Wedding of Deceit is like a colorless Balam. And then when it breaks a shield, you've got that Bolmedia style effect. And then it's also got Eternal Omega, as Zeniths do, got a built-in Aqua Soldier effect, so pretty good. I feel like this card is going to be extremely good, no question about it. Alright, maybe a little question about it, but knowing what I do about the game right now, which is just about 0, I feel like this card's going to be good. It's just got a tremendous upside, and as we've seen in the past, expensive cards are not really held back that much because you can just build your deck with a lot of ramp in mind. DMP is great at that, especially with your 8 Fairy Life, 8+ Fairy Life. Taking a look at the other new card, we've got another retrain. This time it's Ryus, because of course it's Ryus. Ryus gets a lot of good cards. So this is a colorless Ryus. Normally I'm used to seeing Ryus with the red card frame and card border. 6 mana, 6k, so not as impressive as our 13/13 King Command Dragon Hunter. Double Breaker, when it's discarded, you can put him in the battle zone, of course. And then when he enters, you may search your deck for a colorless card except himself and put it in your hand. Alright, right off the bat, I feel like when I just read this, it doesn't seem that impressive. But then when you consider that it's a +1, and if we are getting more colorless support, or at the very least, you can search for the other Wedding, this is not too bad. I feel like this card will be pretty good. Between these two, you've got a colorless core going on here, and this is also a pretty reasonable mid-game play, right? So you spend your early turns trying to ramp mana, and then you drop this guy. Maybe you can get another good colorless card. Maybe you can find your Wedding. Who knows, right? So yeah, I think these two cards are gonna be pretty good. Alright, more arts. So this is clearly a reprint because you've got that interesting, funky, crazy art going. 9 mana, 11.5k. Alright, let's take a look at it. Valhalla Paladin, Sealing Dragon Elemental. Alright, so blocker Double Breaker, of course. When he enters, shieldify the top card of your deck. When a card is put into your shield zone, you may tap the same number of your opponent's creatures, and then they stay decommissioned. They don't untap at the start of your opponent's next turn. I don't know how good this guy is. Came out in set 24. I think we were playing it around this time, but this guy does not do a whole lot for me. Let's just say. So I'm gonna close him without reacting too much. Of course, Heaven's Gate got a reprint. It's pretty funny because this is not even the first time that Heaven's Gate is being reprinted in a Legend of Plays set. I suppose the devs are very committed to having this card in the format. And I suppose why shouldn't they, right? It just seems like a very solid concept, and depending on the power of the potential targets, it could be a pretty timeless concept too. Holy Flash Guardian, oh look at that. We've got a waifu art here with Elena, and it's a 9 mana 3.5k creature. Gotta love that power mana ratio. Holy Flash Guardian, alright, I think if we are playing this card, we want the waifu art. Looks a lot cooler than this one. And this dude has shield trigger blocker and a built-in Holy Hostile effect. So you've really got a lot of defense. Even Sad is not getting through this. And yes, that is a card that we have not mentioned in a while. Alright. Okay, what else? Oriotis, Control Wings. This is a card whose name I remember, but not much else. But I'm pretty sure we came across this card back when we were actively playing. Super Elemental Spark. I wonder if this has a built-in Holy Hostile effect. I don't know why I said built-in, because it's a spell, right? So, I mean, it should be only a Holy Hostile effect. Oh, no, it looks like I'm wrong. Shieldify one of your opponent's non-evolution elements that cost 6 or less. What is an element? What is an element? Okay, so it's a card type that stays face up in the battle zone. I'm assuming this is something, it just refers to anything that takes up one of the 7 creature zone slots, right? Because like cross gears take up that slot. All right. Okie dokie. So we've got Rhapsody Guardian of Hope. There was a Java Jack build that used Aqua Teacher and a whole bunch of these low-cost vanillas, including this and like I think Tulk. And you would basically use Aqua Teacher to build up a board with these guys, draw a bunch of cards, and aggro your opponent. That was not the way to play Java Jack. You can trust me on that. I reached top 100. The Waterlight Java Jack deck was not the sauce in my opinion. Speaking of Java Jack, this is a card that I remember very well from the Java Jack format. Spell Cyclica, and they have decided to bring it back. How could they? What were they thinking? No, I'm kidding. I think what made this card especially frustrating to deal with was when Soul Swap was in the format. It was a very gross interaction, and it was very frustrating to play against. So much so that the devs errated Soul Swap to be 8 mana, so you couldn't loop it with this guy. Looks like Soul Swap took the hit because this effect looks to be the same. Yeah, it's a card I recognize, but I did not enjoy playing against it. Okay, moving on. Here's another card we should take a look at. We've got a new QED card, Eternal Dragon Program. So I guess when you pull the secret art of this card, you will get the new QED avatar. So it evolves off any water creature. That's pretty good. Double breaker. When it enters, you can bounce a card. All right, Unicorn Fish. I'm sure Damien is already on board. At the start of your turn, look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Put one of them on top of your deck. Put the rest at the bottom. Then if you have 8 or less cards in your hand, draw a card. All right. I think it is very rare that a person will have more than 8 cards in their hand, or 8 or more. And so I think you'll be getting the draw of this most of the time. So it's really like look at the top 5 and then like you can take one. And then your water creatures can't be blocked. To be honest, it doesn't look that impressive in this power crept world, but I feel like this card might be good. I think if there's a solid enough, fast enough engine for this, you can find a way to make it work. And being able to excavate 5 and dig for anything is pretty good. Yeah, I like this card. I really like the design of this card. If I were playing and if this were playable, it's the deck that I would make for sure. Okie dokie, there is another super rare. I guess we'll take a look at that. We've got Evidex, Dragon Wave Bow Class Battleship. 4 mana 7k, cannot attack. Alright, that explains the good power mana ratio. At the start of your turn, if you have 8 or less, draw a card. Okay, and when you draw a card, if it's the 4th or more card you drew this turn, evolve this creature. Oh, okay, that seems good. Alright, I take back everything I said about being so-so on QEDX. Man, if it weren't for having to learn the new mechanics and the new card types like the seals, I'm kind of tempted to start playing again because I feel like this is a deck I would definitely enjoy. Alright, Amaterasu, founder of Blue Wolves. So this is a card that saw a lot of play with Emperor Kiriko back in the day. It is getting a reprint. It's got the Water Guardian dude on the artwork. Very cool, very cool. Am I happy to see Amaterasu back? I'm not sure, but I'm happy that I recognize it. Ragnarok the Clock, okay. I don't know if this guy ever left the format, honestly, but it seems like the card that would stay around for a while, until there's a new replacement for Ragnarok, in terms of function. Yeah, so he's got a new artwork, very good. Ragnarok stays in the format. When he hits the battle zone, the turn ends, so you want your opponent to hit him as a shield trigger. Ooh, Oboro! So I think this is the Great Mecha, and this dude has gotten reprinted quite a few times, I think. I think it's a pretty well-designed card, honestly. You know, when it enters a battle zone, draw a card for each civ in your mana zone, and then, you know, forever how many cards you drew, you put that many at the bottom of your deck. It's a nice consistency booster, and it's a nice early drop, and I don't think it's too overpowered. I think this card is an example of good card design. I wonder if Giga Blizzard is still in the format. I do remember covering it several months ago in a new set review, but I don't know, maybe it's been power crept. Who knows? Maybe there are better uses for Oboro. Okay, time for the Darkness Civ. We've got Death Hands, Misfortune Emperor. Okay, so we've got this dude. So he's shield triggered Terror Pit creature. Alright, I remember this guy. It's been a while since we've last seen him. It says DM25 Legend Evolution, but I feel like he's been in the format for a lot longer, unless I'm misremembering or confusing him with something else. But, yeah, alright. Pretty cool. I like this artwork. This is a very nice looking artwork. I mean, the ones with the Guardians always look pretty good, right? It's pretty funny, though. You got this very beautiful, intricate artwork. Ooh, 7 mana, 2000 power. Okay, we've also got Deathgate, a new Deathgate art. This is basically the new Terror Pit, right? So it makes sense that they would reprint this card several times. Very scary looking, very evil looking. Deathgate gets a reprint. Who would have thought? We've got the Airplane. Do you guys remember the Airplane? This card was used as an engine piece in many graveyard-centric decks. I think it's a pretty well-designed card, and I think for as long as there are these graveyard decks, this guy will always be playable. Okay, always is a bit of a strong word, but you get what I mean. I think this guy will be playable in many formats, in many future formats to come. For as long as there's a good graveyard deck. Deadly Love, I don't recognize this card, but the name's pretty funny, so I want to take a look at that. Oh, actually, I do recognize this card, so that's what it's called. The Romanov decks, sorry, not Romanov, not just Romanov, MRC, I remember they used to use this. Pop one of your own creatures, and then pop one of your opponent's creatures. So you're going minus in card advantage, but the momentum swing is pretty good because you can kill one of your weenies, and then you can destroy one of your opponent's boss cards. Or if you have no creatures on the field, then it's a free Terror Pit, right? This guy looks kind of familiar. When this enters the battle zone, put the top 2 cards of your deck into your graveyard. Okay, I'm mistaking it for something else, but speaking of graveyard decks, right? This is a card that you would want in a graveyard deck. You can play him alongside the Airplane, pretty good. Of course, we've got another Jenny reprint, Jenny the Suicide Doll. This is a card that the DMP devs love, and yeah, so it's a very funny looking artwork we've got here. So Jenny staying in the format for longer, or I don't even know if it left the format, to be honest, but this is not a surprising reprint at all. Fire! I recognize this card. Onimaru Head. So this dude gave you an extra turn. You would play Ginko Judge, and if you win, right, you get an extra turn. At least I think that's what it did. Especially, I'm kind of questioning myself because Ginko Judge hasn't been around for a while. Yes, this is a Ginko Judge. So very solid boss card in any good stuffs pile, right? Maybe you could play a deck with like one of this and one of the wedding. At least that's what the Hyperspatial Ryus decks used to do. What else have we got in the Fire Civ? Nothing is really catching my attention, I'm sorry. And to be honest, there aren't that many high rarity cards here. Iron Fist of Revolution. Okay, this looks pretty cool. 3 mana, Revolution, 0 trigger. Okay, I've lost interest. I don't even recognize this keyword. Reveal the top 4 cards of your deck. Destroy one of your opponent's creatures. There's some RNG going on here. Yeah, alright. Whatever, I'm going to skip this. Ooh, Fist of Bolshak. I remember pulling this card, actually, from one of our previous OCG box opening videos. So that's what it is, or what it was. Okay. Alright, let's move on. Moving on. Nature. Alright. The Dead Brachio, World Evil Dragonkind. I don't even know if I pronounced that correctly. Jurassic Command Dragon, multicolored mana arms. If you have this card in your hand and 5 more civs in your mana zone, this creature gets Super Strike back. And then when he's in the battle zone, okay, you can, when he hits the field, you can natural snare one of your opponent's guys. And then your opponent's drag hearts can't drag solution. Oh no, how will we solve our problems now without drag solution? Super Strike back. Okay, which allows you to use it when any shield is returned to your hand, making it more versatile. That's pretty interesting. That's like a variation of shield trigger, right? So, okay, so if maybe there is a way to cheat this guy out and he doesn't evolve, so maybe he's not so bad. I don't quite know how to assess this card, to be honest. He's too unfamiliar to me. But yeah, alright, pretty interesting. Mystery Cube. Oh, I think... Wait, is this the card that lets you ramp a bunch of mana? Shuffle your deck, then reveal the top card of your deck. If that's a creature, put it into the battle zone. Otherwise, put it in your mana zone. Okay, I was partially right. It lets you charge 1 mana, maybe. It's one of those cheat creatures into the battle zone style effects, but it's very RNG dependent. So, I don't know. I'm not really feeling this card. And I'm pretty sure it was in the format at a time when I was actively playing, and I don't think it was that good back then. But you got this cool artwork with the Nature Guardian, so there's that. There is that. Treasure Map. What is Treasure Map? Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. You may reveal a nature creature and then put it in your hand. Put the rest at the bottom of your deck. All right, so it lets you dig for creatures, right? This is not the worst. You don't gain any card advantage, but you know, it only costs 1 mana, so not bad. Kind of lets you functionally play with a smaller deck size. Dig for your key cards. I like it. I like it. Not in every deck, but I'm sure there's like a Snow Fairy deck in all division that uses it. Fairy Miracle. Wait, Fairy Miracle. I think that was the meme. So it's like when you have all 5 civs in your mana zone, right? You ramp 2 mana instead of 1. So the meme was like if you're on 4 and then Fairy Miracle ramps you the 5th one for the first ramp, and then you get another one. Good times with Fairy Miracle. So yeah, a lot of consistency boosters. Fairy Miracle, Geo Bronze Magic, Jasmine Mist Fairy. Got an art style here like the Jenny we talked about. That's pretty cute. And Jasmine Mist Fairy is going to be a card that I think we'll be seeing a lot of. Okay, so we're in the multi-civ section here. Counter-attacking Silent Spark. Alright, surely this has a Holios style effect. Oh yes, this does. This does. It's Polio or Brain Serum, but only 1 at a time. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I recognize all of these. Hyperspatial Guard Hole. This is probably my least favorite hyperspatial spell to play against. Because it's a control spell. Shieldify a non-evolution creature, and then we can put in a very expensive light or darkness creature. Most of the time, it is Diabolos Zeta, who is very difficult to remove. Yeesh, I do not have fond memories playing against that card. So, but yeah, there's this updated artwork in case you're not sure what psychic creature to take. Take one that starts with the letter Z, probably this guy over here. And if you're not so convinced about his power level, it says ruler. So, that tells you who's boss, right? It's interesting. I feel like these psychic spells back in the day were pretty good because they gave you a lot of flexibility over what creatures to bring out. I assume we're at a point in the game where a lot of psychic creatures have rotated out of the format, but I think even if we only had Diablos Zeta, he would be good enough to warrant playing this card in some decks. You also have this... he can also evolve into this guy, right? To Devil Diablos, and the requirement to evolve him is not that hard. It's like you send 3 cards in combination from like your hand, mana, and field to your deck, and then you can evolve. Something like that. And he's like a super strong boss card. And this guy's just like pretty hard to remove because you can't target him. He loses the untargetable when he evolves, but I don't know, I think it's a pretty good trade-off. Yeah, this dude I feel like will be good in most formats, I think. And then we've got Bloody Shadow, so it looks like we've got some more knights in the format. Well, actually, I think I realized that I missed something. Ah, yes, we've got Prince Avarallo, Cavaliere of Thunder. So this dude is the knight that lets you draw spells, right? It's like, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and then for every spell, put it in your hand. I feel like this guy has been reprinted before. Anyway. Moving on. Alright, so we've got Impact of Heavenly Violence. I remember this card. I think it was like you can choose out of 2 effects. You pop a creature with 6k power, or you shieldify one of your opponent's creatures. Bolshario. This dude was in a lot of sweaty control decks. I think when you play him, you search your deck for a spell, something to that effect. Pretty good. Aegis Boost. Don't know this guy. Ooh, the Beautician is making a return. I don't know how good this card will be in more modern formats, but it's curious to see the return of a very old keyword, Overdrive, which I have not seen in a while. Crossfire, the second billionaire. I have fond memories of this guy. And Java Jack. Java Jack is not in the format, so I don't know how you're cheating this guy out, but maybe there's a way. Maybe the DMP devs are onto something. Or maybe Java Jack is in the format and I'm just out of touch. I don't know. Blue Wolf Sword, so this is the cross gear that I think ramps you mana when you play it. I'm sure there was another effect. Saw this in a lot of Kiriko decks back in the day. Entertainer of Stealing and Lying. I think this card was played in Shoegazer, but we've got this very cute artwork. I like it, with both of the Lupia avatars. Very cool. Let's take a look at what this card does. Forgot. If you have other creatures in the battle zone, this guy cannot be attacked. When your opponent puts a creature into the battle zone without paying its cost, destroy that creature. Wow, okay, pretty good. Cannot cheat stuff in. Heaven's Gate, no thank you. And I'm sure there are a lot of other cheat into the battles. Oh, there's also a new Kiriko, right? That lets you cheat stuff in. So this card will be... I think this card has a place in the meta. Dark Life for the graveyard decks. Johnny Walker, Exploding Mask. Alright, I'm not going to look at what this guy does, but Johnny Walker is in Duel Masters. Top 10 crossovers of all time. And oh my gosh, saving the best for last, we've got some Hyperspatial Ryusei Hole with a very cool artwork with Prin and the dragon. Yeah, this card is definitely going to see play, even if we are in an air quotes power-crept metagame. This kind of card is very flexible, and I think it'll find a way to be good. Maybe this is the return. Maybe you're meant to play this card with... You're meant to play it with Onimaru Head, maybe just 1 copy. And then you played with a bunch of colorless cards, right? You played with Destiny Ryusei of Fate. You played with Zenith of Deceit. I feel like this is going to be good. And I really like the Hyperspatial Ryusei Hole decks. You know, I know at the start of the video I was complaining about Spell Cyclica, but they're not technically controlled in nature. I would characterize them more as mid-range. And they're really fun because you get a lot of options. You get to ramp a lot of mana. There is card draw. They, by their very nature, are very flexible. And they allow you to support these really expensive, really powerful, really fun to use boss cards. Golly gee whiz, guys. This is making me want to play DMP again. I'm not gonna lie. This is very exciting, especially since we still have our Hyperspatial Ryusei Hole cards. Oh, I can just imagine this is gonna be creation difficulty extremely high. Alright, anyway, that brings me to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this set reaction video. I certainly enjoyed it a lot. It was a nice trip down memory lane. It's a funny feeling going over my final competitive formats of DMP New Division, you know? This certainly brings back good memories. I know there was a lot of frustration back when I was playing it, but yeah, I guess we tend to look back at past formats with rose-tinted lenses. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.